my QB that I think most people can probably get at ADP value is Matt Stafford. So for a number of reasons, and I'm just going to go down a list of numbers I want people to sort of crunch on, and then I'm going to put it in context of where he sort of stacks up in relation to his sort of quarterback brethren. So right now, if you go and check out Matt Stafford's relative ADP, he's coming in at somewhere around like 1920 as the overall QB. ADP somewhere around like the 129.7. He's getting picked at around the 705 mark. Sporting News had him at number 16. The best spot that I've seen him is Fantasy Pros at number 13, which is probably where I like him. Now, if you look at everything else, he probably averages in somewhere around QB number 19, 18. Now, why does all that matter? So it matters obviously because his ADP seems to be pretty high. He's somewhere in that like tier 4 group of quarterbacks, that like really low end QB2, maybe even like a, weird QB3 scenario. Why does that matter? So it matters because last year before he got hurt, he was 4th in overall points per game. So he was averaging somewhere around 21.45 points per game. He was 0.09 points behind Patrick Mahomes in the season. So that just puts it into context as to actually how dominant Matt Stafford was. The other thing, though, that this is some small stats that get overlooked on Matt Stafford's end. He got sacked on average 2.25 times a game. This is in comparison to guys like Watson, Wilson, who were averaging around 3 sacks per game. Matt Ryan got sacked 3.2 sacks per game. So there was obviously, there were other quarterbacks that were having some issues, even some running quarterbacks. Kyler Murray was sacked 2.93 times a game. So he basically has good release time. He was on pace to start looking at old Matt Stafford numbers last season. Completion percentage was about 64.3%. He was 9th in TD to interception ratio, which was above guys like Dak Prescott at 15, above guys like Deshaun Watson at number 20. What I find probably the most interesting in terms of being able to grab QB2 value is his average depth of target. So when you're looking for your QB2, in a high-end QB2, let's say, you want, at this point in your draft, you want guys that have upside. And guys that have upside are guys that are typically accurate, but also have what I think Lucas mentions this guy is the air yards, right? Air yards. So Matt Stafford was number 1 in the NFL with average depth of target at 10.64. Jameis Winston obviously being number 2. And then his deep pass rate was also number 1 in the NFL at 19.6%. Russell Wilson came in 3 percentage points under that at 16.5 as the number 2. So rounding that off, Matt Stafford was actually on pace for 4,685 yards, which would have been good for 3rd in the NFL, above Goff and just behind Dak. So when we're talking about putting him in categories of QB2, he's actually putting up QB1 numbers. It's the injury that people are nervous about. If you look at the news, it looks like he's healthy. You can probably snag Matt Stafford as your high-end QB2, where he might perform like a QB1.
100%, and I've got him at number 11 right now. I've got my dog, we'll talk about just a second, at number 10. So he's just in the back end of the QB1s for me right now. And as you mentioned, Matt Stafford, he was on pace for an incredible season behind just Lamar and Dak, and fantasy points per game would have been number 3 overall too. So anyway, yeah, he's great. Kenny Golladay is one of my favorite receivers this year as well. Marvin Jones is always a sleeper for me. And I think that DeAndre Swift and Kerryon Johnson, as he's healthy, is only going to help out. And TJ Hawkinson in year 2 should obviously increase that as well. So I think that's a great pick. Matt Stafford is automatic for me in the 13th round. That's silly. I think that's a steal all day.